Quick disclosure before we get into this video, I am a Ubiquiti affiliate and they've been incredibly gracious in providing me with the equipment for this video. That said, they haven't seen this video ahead of time and these are still my honest thoughts. But I will admit that naturally creates a little bias because of the support they've shown me on my end. In all honesty, their gear stands on its own merit without my recommendation. I'm just here to help you make an informed purchase decision if you're considering either of these cameras for deployment in a small business area or maybe even your home like I have them put out in my area. And if you decide to pick one up using my affiliate links down below in the description video, that's a great way to support the content creation here on this channel for me, and I would truly appreciate it. But if not, pick it up anyway because they're awesome cameras. With that out of the way, let's get into this video. Before switching to UniFi's PTZ cameras, I was using a G4 Bullet to monitor the wide expanse of my backyard. It's been a solid performer, but the reality is that it just couldn't keep up with the layout and the scale of that space. My backyard is extremely wide and long, and it has a lot of areas that could utilize multiple deployments of cameras. And trying to capture everything with a single fixed angle camera meant consistent compromises on my end, either missing key areas or going so wide that the camera kind of lost meaningful detail. At the front of my house, I have been running the G5 Pro with the vision enhancer, and even though it's only been in place for a short time, it's done an impressive job at handling harsh lighting environments, giving me that clean footage that I was looking for in that area. But even with that strong performance, the ideal camera for the locations in each one of these areas was always going to be a point to zoom camera of some sort. Something that could actively pan, tilt, and zoom to follow motion and shift focus based on what is actually happening in the area, because that's the most useful data, especially when you consider CCTV deployments. That's where the G5 PTZ and the G6 PTZ come in. These cameras finally gave me the flexibility I've always wanted in these areas. Full control over where the camera is looking without needing to kind of sit and figure out where I'm going to place them, or using multiple devices for complicated installs, especially when I'm doing that on my own. Whether I'm watching my boys play in the backyard or checking on the movement near the driveway, I can cover more ground from a single install point utilizing either one of these cameras. And all of that being done with one cable and far less clutter, especially with my janky home install. So these upgrades isn't just about better hardware, it's about smarter, more adaptable surveillance that fits the real layout of my property. Over the years, I've tested a lot of cameras in my UniFi Protect setup, but not all of these cameras are created equal, especially when it comes to flexibility and coverage. If you're choosing between the UniFi G5 PTZ and the newer G6 PTZ, the decision really comes down to what kind of space you're looking to monitor and how much control and clarity do you need. Let me start with a real world example. My backyard is extremely wide and wide enough that two static cameras would normally be required. One pointing at the deck area that I have back there and another in the corner end. That means, more mounting, more cabling, and more hassle on my part. And since I finished my basement, it's kind of harder to run lines for me because I'm not getting up in the attic because I cannot stand insulation. For those of you that do insulating as a profession, more power to you, because yeah, that's not for me. So when UniFi dropped their PTZ line, it was exactly what I was looking for insofar as having a smarter camera. That's where the G5 PTZ came into play, and that's where I added it to this space. One thing, my area has kind of seen a little bit of an upgrade or a change. Originally, when I deployed this, and I made a video on it, how's UniFi for the home, I put plastic conduit. Utah suns are unforgiving in the summertime, and that started to bow and twist and warp and whatnot. So I went out and found some metal conduit and changed the junction boxes to metal ones and sealed them with some silicone. And this is a much more stable space because you're going to need it because these cameras are a little bit heavier than a standard bullet or a dome type of camera. Over time you live and you learn, and then now a future kind of external runs of Ethernet cable using metal conduit is going to be my go-to. Before getting into the unboxing experience, I wanted to provide a little bit of scale. It's a little bit difficult for me to fit the G6 PTZ into the frame, as you can see here. I got medium to large size hands, and this packaging is quite large, and here is the G5 PTZ. Substantially smaller. Just wanted to provide a little bit of scale, and with that, hopefully give you some insight into the packaging differences between the two. With that said, I'm going to start with the G5 PTZ unboxing experience. All right, so here is the G5 PTZ. The box is very minimal, environmentally friendly, and there's like zero ink, except for this white stuff. Twisting it around towards the back, you can see that there's this little pull tab, very similar to a fruit company in the unboxing experience. Pulling this thing out, there is this egg carton material here that is kind of protecting the camera during its shipping. And if you pull this down, you can look to see there's a little bit of like that egg carton dust here. We'll take a closer look at that here momentarily. Setting it off to the side to see what comes in the package. Just some BS pull mount, some mounting screws, and then security screws. And then I get the wall mount here with a disposable bubble level and some additional mounting hardware for the pole. This is pole mounting hardware, by the way. So that's pretty much all you get in the box of the G5 PTZ. Let's move this off to the side. Peel this up real quick. I'm gonna put this back on. It has a single lens on the G5 PTZ. I'm gonna put that back because during installation, I don't like to touch the lens, and then after the fact, I peel that off. So it's pretty clear. Got one RJ45 port at the top and a reset button there. And that is it for input. And you can see that you can kind of manipulate this thing while it's not powered on. That's the G5 PTZ. Let's get the G6 in here and take a closer look at between the two. Unboxing this in a top-down setup like I have is a little bit difficult, so getting this into the frame is a challenge. Same type of packaging, very minimalistic and environmentally friendly with minimal ink usage as well. Same type of unboxing experience where you peel this off. And if you want the installation guide, it's there, the QR code at the top of the box. I'm gonna flip this over and hopefully pull this out in a way that I don't drop it. On the sides of the egg carton, there are these inlets to kind of reinforce the egg carton. There is nothing inside of them. It's just a reinforcement mechanism for this egg carton, and it's on both sides of the packaging. And I will open this up because this includes a tabletop mount in addition to the wall mount that is included. The G6 PTZ and the G5 PTZ wall mounts are exactly the same. So the footprint by which these connect to the wall are the same. So you could literally just take one down. So if you had the G5 and you're like, hey, I want to upgrade to the G6, but I don't want to go through the whole hassle of remounting it, the UniFi has you covered there because these two mounts are exactly the same. Moving that mount off to the side, and this is a tabletop. You can either mount it on the roof or a ceiling. I keep saying roof, but on the ceiling, or you can set it on a tabletop. There are also additional mounting hardware here if you were to do like a drop ceiling or something like that. You get the disposable bubble level as well. Some instructions on how to mount. And the actual camera itself is nested here. I'm gonna put this off to the side as we pull the rest of this. Pole mount is included, as well as the strap that you would need to secure the pole mount. Some additional hardware, which looks like a security key, and then some security T6, I think, or T4 screws that allow you to secure this thing in place, and an actual booklet. That being said, that is all of the hardware that is included in the packaging. I'm going to move this off to the side. I'm going to peel this off real quick. There's the egg carton dust around the lenses. There are two lenses in this camera. Bringing the G5 into the picture, you can see that the G6 is a little bit larger, but not so much so. You would think that it's much, much larger when you look at the packaging. That's just not the case. The two are very similar in design. The mounts are the same. They both have an RJ45 port at the top. The difference here is that the G6 has this USB-C port hidden under this water protected grommet or cover. I don't know what that's for. There is no documentation or anything listed out there. I'm hoping that maybe they add some sort of accessory that you can plug into, but that is available there. There's the reset as well. And on the G6, there's this weatherproofing rubber gasket at the top of this that the G5 also has that I didn't communicate when we opened it. It is identical in mounting stature, but the design is a little bit different. On the G6, there is this heatsink type of design. I can't tell if this is like a polycarbonate or something. I don't know if heat is being dissipated there. I believe this is metal inside of here, and it is encased in plastic. You can see the UniFi logo there. Same on the G5. They both have color night vision, and that is possible by these lights, and a different structure of IRs. This has a better output there. If you turn the camera a little bit, you can see that this also has the capability of having micro SD cards. And because the camera lives most likely like this, it is protected and covered from the elements outside unless your camera is facing directly down. Let's get into the SD card port to show you a little bit more of a close-up instead of just talking about it. It has these I think they're T4 screws. I may be wrong, correct me in the comments if I am. You don't have to be super careful when doing this because the screws are passively retained within the cover, which is nice, because if you had to get to this in like a weird spot that it was mounted or a high spot, I would hate that these fell out and you'd lose them and whatnot. But this adds a level of redundancy if you need it. I could see this being utilized in a way that if UniFi Protect goes down and it stops recording for some reason, that the active recording is then kept on this SD card or micro SD card. And then when the power returns or is restored to the system, that this would get filled into the NVR. I'd like to see that come to some future version of Protect. I don't think that that's the case now. But in my usage case, I am not going to be utilizing this micro SD card. And no, I didn't use the included tool. I used my Red Pro tool that I have, that I've stored. This is the only thing that I can afford from Red Cinema. That does it for the unboxing and quick physical comparisons between the G5 PTZ and the G6 PTZ. Let's get back to the video. The UniFi G5 PTZ is an incredibly capable camera that brings a lot to the table for residential and small business installs. It captures 2K footage up to 30 frames per second using its 5 megapixel sensor. The optical zoom is responsive, but sometimes can be a bit jerky when tracking subjects. It's roughly 100 degrees by 45 degrees field of view, give or take some decimal points there, and it gives you a great balance between wide coverage and detail. It's packed with smart detections for people, vehicles, and animals, cutting down on false positives and notifications for high traffic areas. It also holds its own at night with infrared coverage for up to 65 feet or 20 meters for those of you that across the pond, delivering clean, reliable footage when it is when visibility is low. And it's built extremely tough with its IP66 weatherproofing and IK04 tamper resistance, all in a rugged aluminum and polycarbonate shell. And it's all powered by PoE+. One of the best things about this camera is that it only draws about 14 watts of power from your system, so it's pretty efficient too. But I will say that it does spike sometimes when it's panning, tilting, and zooming. But that's a given because it is using more power there. If your goal is reliable monitoring of medium to large spaces that are not so high traffic, then the G5 PTZ really gets the job done and adds a lot of value to your system. I will say, however, that if you have high traffic areas, I don't necessarily know if I would recommend the G5 PTZ. Now here's where the G6 PTZ pulls ahead. For truly large, dynamic, high traffic spaces, it's not just a step up, it's a whole different category in my opinion and in my use. You're getting 4K resolution with an 8 megapixel sensor, a 10-time hybrid zoom, a pan range of 350 degrees with 100 degrees of tilt. The G6 PTZ isn't just capturing video, it's replacing multiple cameras with one motorized unit that can do it all. Whether I'm watching the delivery guys bring my stuff to my porch or checking to see what solicitors are ignoring my no soliciting signs, I can actively control it through the UniFi Protect app or set it to automatically patrol specific zones based on time or motion. And unlike the G5, the G6 includes facial and license plate recognition, which takes AI detection to the next level for large properties or front of houses. Again, places where there's a lot of traffic to where it can delineate what's important to pay attention to and what's not. Smart alerts are smarter than ever, especially here when you pair it with zone specific detection and you take some time to customize your system. Night vision is also upgraded here. The IR range extends from 98 feet or 30 meters, and switching between wide mode, which has a field of view of 110 degrees, and telephoto, which focuses in on attention to detail, to about 27 degrees. It gives you both awareness and detail at any time of the day. Build wise, it matches the G5 with an IP66 IKO ratings. The G6's motor and internal hardware are clearly an upgrade. It runs on a quad-core Cortex A53 processor and supports onboard recording via a micro SD card slot on the back of the head. It's a useful fallback and a way for recording redundant footage if your NVR ever has any issues or you're monitoring areas that are extremely important. If you're thinking about upgrading or adding the G6 PTZ to your setup, just make sure your switch supports PoE Plus with at least 24.5 watts per port. The G6 does draw more power than the G5, but you're also getting a lot more in capabilities. With all that said, let's hop into some footage samples so I can talk to you about like the performance of the cameras in the spaces that they are deployed. Here's a daylight sample of the G6 PTZ. It's oddly warm in the middle of November, but this is how it reports in the daylight and tracks. If I walk around, the tracking on the G6 PTZ is really awesome. Far better than the G5. In my opinion, it's less jerky and much more smooth. And it picks up a rather good amount of sound when the subjects in frame are talking about this. But I have a struggle with this wall behind me. Cars pass the front of the window, as you can see. It's a tough pickup of sound. It's really rather close to the microphones to pick up sound that is useful. But let me know what you think of the daylight sample G6 PTZ. Alright, so here's a daylight sample of the G5. It is much higher, but I have it in a quieter area, so if there was somebody talking back here, you would have to kind of listen in. But it has the capability of picking up that audio as needed. It does an okay job, but as you can see when I move around in the frame, it's a lot more jerky. I think that they could probably solve that with maybe a firmware update, but I don't know. Maybe it's a limitation of the hardware actually built into the G5 PTZ. But again, this is the daylight sample as I sit out here in the middle of November and get a tan as the sun is cooking me in Utah. It's super weird weather. Anyway, that's not part of the video. This is just part of the sample of the G5 PTZ and its ability to track me and pick up the sound in this vastly wide area. Again, let me know what you think of the difference. You can tell. I mean, I can tell. The tracking is much less smooth, but it does a decent job because it has the AI features built into the G5 PTZ. Here is the G6 PTZ in a much quieter environment because there is no ambient sound and there's no vehicles driving. But you can see the color night vision on this as well. The larger resolution does a good job, and my AI Pro is over there helping with some lighting. So this area is pretty well covered, as you can see. And I want to finish this up before this vehicle passes because they're going to think I'm a psychopath. It is a lot lower than the G5. I'd say it's about 10 feet, and that one's about 15, 16 feet up in the air. Let's hop over to the G5 PTZ for sample review so you can compare the two. Yeah, let me know what you think. All right, so here's the G5 PTZ in the night with the color night vision. As you can see, it does a really good job at tracking me at night as well. A little glitchy, or not say glitchy, it's just more like static movements. It's not as fluid as the G6. Here is also audio, probably in a better setting because there is no like ambient sound or vehicles driving or anything like that. So let me know what you think of the color night vision on the G5 PTZ because I think it's pretty great and it covers a pretty large area to where I would have to have multiple cameras installed to cover any of this. So that about does it for the night. Color night vision on the G5 PTZ? Leave me a comment down below.
One thing that I forgot to mention is that the G6 PTZ also has push-to-talk feature that allows you to communicate with those on the other side of the camera. It's a pretty good feature, and the speaker sounds decent, considering all the background noise that you are hearing right now. So, one other thing for you to consider if you're thinking about the G6 PTZ.
So which ones should you pick? Choose the G5 PTZ if you want a smart, efficient pan tilt zoom camera that enhances your system with excellent 2K video, strong AI detection, and has solid reliability, all while being extremely power efficient and easier to justify for your general surveillance needs based on its price. Now go with the G6 PTZ if you need higher resolution, greater zoom, wider coverage, and advanced features like facial recognition, license plate reading, and AI-based tracking. It's ideal for wide open spaces or high security areas where flexibility, detail, and automation matter to you if you don't want to sit and tinker with your system all the time. Again, it's perfect for high traffic areas. This video is getting really long in the tooth, and my final thoughts are if you're managing expansive, complex outdoor area like a wide backyard and front yard, PTZ cameras offer a major upgrade in both coverage and convenience. Instead of installing multiple fixed angle cameras, a single PTZ unit can adapt to various situations, providing flexible, intelligent surveillance with fewer devices and less hassle. The G5 PTZ is currently priced around $299 USD. And it delivers solid 2K image quality, strong optical zoom, and smart detections, all in a more affordable package. It's ideal for general purpose monitoring where features like facial and license plate recognition aren't essential. And I would say it's probably best for those areas that don't see a lot of foot traffic. The G6 PTZ is priced at $399 USD, and it raises the bar with 4K resolution, 10-time hybrid zoom, and advanced AI capabilities, including that facial and license plate recognition. Those are vitally important, especially if you're going to review some footage. It's a camera that you choose when you want maximum clarity, smarter automation, and broader coverage from a single device. That $100 price difference between the two reflects much more than the additional performance and flexibility the G6 brings to the table, if you ask me. If your security needs lean towards high traffic areas, detailed monitoring, or you simply want the best UniFi has to offer in this category of camera, the G6 is a worthwhile upgrade in my opinion. But if you're looking for an affordable and dependable, intelligent PTZ camera that still does a lot while saving your wallet, some of that hurt, the G5 PTZ is a solid choice, especially if you're looking at purchasing multiple units for a multi-deployment area. That $100 per unit adds up quite quickly. All right, so here's my online panhandling. If either of these cameras sound like the right fit for your setup, consider shopping through my affiliate link in the description of the video. It's a simple way to support the content creation here on this channel and the content that I create at no extra cost to you. Every little bit helps me in making these in-depth reviews like this one. And I truly appreciate the support if you do decide to shop through my affiliate link. If not, buy the camera anyway. You will be extremely happy. It's freaking awesome. Before I close, I want to disclose one more time that Ubiquiti did send each of these cameras out to me for testing and review because I am a part of their affiliate program. So that is doubly down, FTC. I know you're watching my videos. You should be. And if you are watching, hit that thumbs up button. Well, that about does it for me in this one. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, you know what to do. Thank you for taking the time to watch. I am Tomas, and I will catch you in the next one.